Hello, Mark of Death Metal Guitars here, doing again my promised spec rundown of my new Abhorrent Guitars Custom Leviathan. Finish is just a British Racing green. It's kind of blue in this lighting. It's not a colour shift, but it was certainly inspired by my Ibanez Xiphos. But I've always been a fan of green as a colour, and there's kind of cars or those minis you see along the road. Particularly in Britain, and even a bit of an obscure one, but Philadelphia Eagles, American football team, have a kind of similar colour scheme with the white binding and obviously the green. In terms of hardware, hip shot locking tuners there, not really needed with a Floyd Rose bridge and locking nut, but just kind of speeds up the restringing process. A Schala Lockmeister. Reason why I went for that, one is price. Floyd Roses are just insane money, and the Lockmeister is literally one for one identical in terms of hardware and specs. But the other reason is Schala actually sell, and this was before Floyd Rose started offering it, custom, or when you bought it from Schala, you could select the radius you wanted for both the bridge and the nut. So this thing has a 16-inch radius, and the bridge and the R3 locking nut reflect that as well, having the same radius, not having to try and shim the saddles, which is a bit of a pain, because if you then try and readjust the intonation, you have to kind of move the shim. Three-way blade switch. I just prefer these to toggles, because I think toggles can feel a bit cheap, or they can feel a bit loose. And the other reason is if I ever wanted to wire in a 5-way super switch for kind of splits, I could. One volume, that's all you need. And then the pickups are Seymour Duncan Black Winters, the blackout versions with the hex pole pieces. I picked them just because they are black, literally. They kind of go with the rest of the hardware. But they do sound really, really good, especially if you crank your amp. They have this insanely gnarly, nasty tone. The input jack, I put it here. So it's recessed. An interesting position. I quite like where it is. It's kind of similar to where it would be on like a regular Strat, where the strap would be on, where the jack would be here rather than on the back wing. And I found out later, after the fact, after I'd spec'd it, it's actually quite similar to the original Jackson Warriors. And I'll cut in a photo, but the Jackson Warriors had the input jack on this side of the body. Instead it went there because the Warrior lower horn's a bit thinner, so it would not fit there. But I quite like how it looks, because it gives the kind of silhouette of the guitar it keeps the silhouette of the guitar quite sleek. And again on the back there's no jack, it's quite sleek looking. The strap buttons are recessed, both at the bottom of the guitar and on the heel. Again, I went for that position just because it kind of balances a lot better, and this thing with a strap has perfect balance. And on the back, you might have seen already, big boy brass block for that extra fatness, extra sound. It sounds incredible. And here, an Engel, how do you say, trem block, lets you go from 4x4 mode to sports mode, essentially letting you unlock or lock the bridge. I don't normally lock the bridge. I normally like it floating, but again, you'd be surprised at how much something like doing this speeds up a string change, because the bridge is locked, and then you can just do whatever you need to do with the strings and the bridges here before you then unlock it. But if you were to use that in another way, you could lock the bridge, have it be a dive only, and then drop tune if you wanted by adjusting the E string and the low strings. Fine tuner there. 3+3 headstock. Slightly different to what most people expecting sort of a reverse, but having had my Warlocks, I'm getting quite used to a 3+3. I really like the way this 3+3 looks, the one Abhorrent obviously designed and made. And it's sort of, and I hate using this term, coded, but it's reverse coded, because it's kind of directional moment is that way in the reverse direction. So I think it looks really good, almost like a pommel to your sword or weapon, or whatever you want to say. And then the last main spec really is the neck. The neck, I donk it. The neck profile is I spec this extremely flat. I hardly doubt it's going to come out on camera, but it's extremely flat profile, and it's for me perfect. The way I play, and it's not going to be I play with my thumb on the back of the neck like that, and it gives you this solid kind of purchase point for your thumb to be upon, rather than a curve, which for me cramps my hand a bit because it puts a bit more pressure on the back of my thumb. Can you imagine your thumb is like that, and so you want sort of a flat surface there, so there's less pressure on your thumb and you can just fret notes. And it also, because the actual portion of the neck that's flat is quite a bit wider, you can move your thumb further down the neck, still have solid purchase, and just get that extra bit of reach. It still does taper off towards, you know, the shoulders, so it's not a complete 2x4, so it still feels comfortable if you do occasionally kind of bring the thumb over or bring the thumb back. But you know, this neck's absolutely phenomenal. I'm so glad I went for that spec. In terms of its thickness and breadth, it's very much akin to a Wizard 2, you know, being sort of 19mm here, and then wherever else it comes to here, sort of 21mm thick at the 12th fret, and it's just a lot flatter, even more flat than a Wizard neck, and it just suits this and the way I play anyway so well. And then lastly, I just want to talk about the beveling. There. I think it just looks super sleek. And something I asked for, which isn't, you know, normally done or hadn't been done before. I don't know if any other Abhorrent Leviathans have been spec'd this way yet, but is doing the exact same beveling on the reverse side, just because I think it looks incredibly sleek. It kind of leaves you with two silhouettes, kind of the silhouette of the outline where the bevels are, but also the silhouette including the extra protrusions. I think it looks great. Custom plate there, if anyone can read Armenian. But yeah, that's it. Looks, sounds amazing. Easy to, probably my best playing guitar, in fact it is, particularly because of the neck. Stainless steel frets, graphite reinforced neck as well, so it's incredibly solid. It's not going to warp and wobble on you, even if it is, you know, 19mm thick. The graphite just keeps it solid. 3-piece maple, no stringers because it's, you know, painted, and the body wings are, I forget the name, Sapili. So it's got a bit of heft. I think it's about 4 kilos I weighed, but I like my guitars quite hefty. The added weight makes it feel a bit more real to me, in my opinion, and a bit less toyish. But you know, you could obviously order something that's lighter if that was your prerogative, or if that's your inclination rather. But yeah, any questions, just ask me in the comments.